factually inaccurate.
Morally correct. This is Babylon Bee Radio. Our top story. In a stunning development, the White House has announced that all claims that had previously been dismissed as, quote, conspiracy theories are in fact true, with the one exception of the claim that Joe Biden stole the 2020 presidential election.
We can now admit all of them are real, except for that one. The CIA killed JFK? True. The moon landing was filmed on a soundstage? True. Those crazy, dangerous claims that President Biden was not legitimately elected? That's the only one that's totally bogus. For sure. Don't listen to any of that. Have I mentioned that I'm a black lesbian? Because I am.
An alarming number of claims that have been made over the last few years have later turned out to be true, including social media platforms systematically suppressing conservatives, the government performing surveillance on citizens, pharmaceutical companies being aware that vaccines were not as effective as claimed, and this week's announcement that COVID-19 leaked from a laboratory in Wuhan, China. Despite all of this, the White House is adamant that President Biden is the most popular candidate in the nation's history. At our time, the Biden administration was maintaining its stance that the 2020 election was not stolen, while simultaneously preparing to announce that JFK Jr. was still alive, Barron Trump was from the future, and Q was right all along. According to several unnamed sources, Dr. Anthony Fauci has grown increasingly irritated as China appears to be getting blamed for creating COVID-19, an accomplishment for which Fauci believes he deserves at least partial credit.
The Wuhan virology lab would be nothing without me. Nothing, I say. I made them who they are. I made sure they received funding to weaponize coronaviruses. It was me alone, not them. I killed millions. I brought regimes to their knees. Mountains crumbled before my terrible wrath. And then I saved the world from my own wrath. I am God.
Sources say the Wendy's drive-thru worker he was yelling at then asked him to leave at once. Experts in virology and internal espionage concur with Fauci's assessment, saying that COVID gain-of-function research was Fauci's project funded at his direction in Wuhan after domestic labs said the work was too dangerous. Many are insisting Fauci be given some of the credit, or at least a marble statue of his likeness in front of the New York City morgue. Fauci was later seen yelling about his terrible viral creation to a sandwich artist at Subway. After suffering a humiliating defeat in Chicago's mayoral election, Lori Lightfoot was quick to dole out blame for her stunning loss.
They stole it from us. Nasty, tricksy little Hobbitses.
The campaign watched the disastrous results come in from a dimly lit sushi restaurant, where the enraged Ms. Lightfoot gorged herself on juicy, sweet raw fish.
Gone. It's gone, precious. Filthy, sneaky Hobbitses. Wicked, tricky, false. Curse them! Curse them!
Lightfoot saw her lead evaporate as supporters became steadily more concerned about being murdered.
I just don't want to die. I can look past a lot with Lori Lightfoot. The eyes, how she walks on all fours, all of it. I just can't look past the whole murder thing. I know she'll take the loss hard, but I really hope she finds a new path forward.
At airtime, aides for the two campaigns heading to a runoff reported the strange sense that some sort of creature was following them. The Southland was turned upside down this week as an unexpected weather pattern left the region blanketed by what experts were only able to call, quote, massive amounts of global warming.
The world has officially ended. We've been hearing about global warming for years, but it is now fallen upon us and brought destruction with it.
Residents were told to remain indoors to avoid making direct contact with the global warming. Though the final numbers were not yet reported, it is feared that perhaps dozens of people have been inconvenienced by this new outbreak of global warming. Witnesses initially reported horrifically cold temperatures, with some areas dipping below 50 degrees, the temperature required to sustain the lives of Californians, though the temperature was later revealed to be the least of their worries. Fluffy white hell soon began to descend onto areas of Southern California, covering pockets of the region with a dense blanket of even more global warming.
The temperature of the Earth has clearly risen far too high,
said Professor Richard Davenport of the Save California Climate Institute.
We have tried to warn people about the danger of global warming for decades, and now it has resulted in slightly cooler temperatures than we're used to. Run for your lives, my fellow humans! It's going to be 47 degrees outside today! Fahrenheit!
The entertainment industry was reportedly planning a star-studded telethon to raise awareness and money to save Californians from the horror of having to wear jackets during the day. After hearing that a black bear did epic amounts of cocaine somewhere in the forests of Georgia, Hunter Biden quickly gathered his camping gear and started driving south.
So you're telling me there's a bear in the forest with free cocaine?
Hunter asked his Secret Service detail.
I have to go. Bye.
Though agents tried to warn him about the danger of bears high on cocaine, Hunter could not be dissuaded.
Relax, everyone. I've talked to plenty of bears. At least I think that's what happened last time I went to Ukraine. Either I partied with bears or I went to an art class where I painted a bear. It's a little hazy, to be honest.
Having packed his tent, Hunter reportedly did a quick bump to get his head straight, then immediately began driving toward Georgia.
When I took a job with the Secret Service, I never imagined I'd be camping in the National Forest looking for a cocaine bear, but here we are.
Hello.
We were gonna tell Hunter that the bear was dead.
Bears here?
Then he would just think that meant more
Need some of
cocaine
that
for him.
cocaine.
Oh well. I've got my fishing pole.
At airtime, sources report that a highly inebriated Hunter Biden was attempting to perform an, quote, enhanced interrogation of a squirrel. A local man who recently completed his transition to living as if he were a woman immediately regretted his decision to do so after seeing the line for the ladies' room at a large public event.
I had no idea I would have to wait this long just to go to the restroom.
Said Rihanna Everhart upon discovering the line at the restroom.
Before I transitioned, I could just walk into the men's room, do my business at a urinal, wash my hands and be back out in 2 minutes. Now this? I made a huge mistake.
The restroom line, located at a local nightclub on the night of a performance by an all-trans Taylor Swift cover band, stretched the full length of the side hallway next to the stage and showed no signs of shortening. One biological female in line stated this is nothing new.
This is part of being a woman. It's always like this. If some guy decides he's going to pretend to be a woman and use the ladies' bathroom, he's going to have to get used to this.
Everhart, previously known as Ryan, was later seen sitting outside the nightclub, seemingly deep in thought.
I don't know. Is it possible for them to, reattach it? I have it well preserved in a jar.
Everhart was last seen getting back in line and hoping he would be able to use the restroom before the concert was completely over. In a move privacy advocates are hailing as historic, Texas's state legislature has passed a batch of new laws allowing civilians to shoot Google Maps camera cars on site. These new laws will allow Texans to exercise their God-given, constitutionally guaranteed, and morally necessary rights to blow away any of these creepy, crawly, googly spy cars. Texas Governor Greg Abbott spoke to members of the press outside the State House, resting the heels of his hands on what onlookers called comically large guns on a comically large belt with a comically large belt buckle designed to look like a longhorn cow on a Texas flag logo. Texas lawmakers are expected to pass additional legislation allowing citizens to shoot down unwanted drones, bullseye credit card machines that request fingerprint authorization, and blast phones out of the hands of TikTok influencers. At Airtime, Texas had also announced plans for legislation allowing Texans to fire their guns in the air to show their approval of things, something they were all doing anyway. Reports coming down from on high confirm Heaven will feature a fully stocked Buc-ee's convenience store and gas station. A spokesangel explained that saints will be able to fill up on delicious beaver nuggets and brisket sandwiches before evacuating their heavenly bowels in the world-famous restrooms.
He who has ears, let him hear. Just as a father will not give his son a stone if asked for bread, none shall be refused a visit to Buc-ee's if their spirit yearns for it. So obviously there's a Buc-ee's in heaven. For this is wisdom. But the cowardly, unbelieving, abominable, murderers, sexually immoral, sorcerers, idolaters, and all liars shall have no part in Buc-ee's. Too bad for those guys.
According to sources, Buc-ee CEO Arch Alpin III was deeply moved that the host of Heaven had accepted their bid for a new Buc-ee's location.
When the saints die and come before the throne to meet the Father for judgment, they'll also have Buc-ee Beaver waiting to receive them into his loving arms.
The angel in charge of Consumer Reports data in Heaven speculates that gas pumps will be a huge hit since there are no electric cars in Heaven, and the only car available will be the 1977 Trans Am with a gold Firebird painted on the hood. At Airtime, Hell confirmed they will have plenty of Circle K locations. B Radio features officially curated content from the Babylon Bee, scripted, voiced, and produced by Austin Robertson. Additional voices in this episode from Bettina, Brandon, Chandler, Jason, and Jarrett. Don't miss an episode. Subscribe to B Radio on YouTube, Spotify, iHeart, or wherever you get your podcasts.